Hello guys, this is the video lecture that is going to very quickly review the rhetorical situation. We're going to discuss ancient rhetoric created by Aristotle, and then which is a good foundation to have, and then contemporary rhetoric, which is more of what we're going to use. I believe I should be able to cover all of this in one video. If not, there will be two. This will be pretty short though. Now, the first thing that we need to get out of the way is most of you have probably, well, at least you should have heard a lot of this stuff before. You should have heard about it in English 100, and if you had me for English 100, you definitely did. And you may have learned about this in high school. So my plan for this is to go through it rather quickly, just as a refresher. However, if you feel like you need, a more thorough review, or if you've never heard this stuff before and feel like you need to know more, let me know, and we can address that. But for now, though, I just want to quickly go through it. So the first thing, briefly, we need to understand the history of the rhetorical situation. I'm going to try to get this. All right, it's not letting me do it. Hold on a second. There we go. So briefly, we need to understand the history of rhetoric. So the rhetorical, and rhetoric is, it's all of these words that you've heard before, most likely, like logos, ethos, pathos, which don't necessarily mean much to you, probably. It's a good foundation, and it makes a lot of sense, but we're going to focus more on contemporary rhetoric. Now, when you hear the word rhetoric, it's most often in a negative connotation or a connotation connected to politics. The liberals or the conservatives, the Democrats, the Republicans, their rhetoric. You hear that used in that context. And in our modern lexicon, it generally has come to be associated with manipulation, lying, persuasion based off of a certain point of view. It makes sense that we think of it this way, but truthfully, rhetoric began as an art form in antiquity. It began as an art form in ancient Greece, and essentially, it began as the art form of giving prepared speeches, of being persuasive when giving speeches. And what rhetoric came to encompass was sort of these tools or skills or concepts that you could use to make your speeches more effective, more persuasive. And that's where we're going to begin. It has evolved into, it's essentially has evolved, contemporary rhetoric has evolved from that. Contemporary rhetoric, the contemporary rhetorical situation, is still those tools, skills, concepts to help you be more, to help you communicate more effectively. But it's changed a little bit. So that's where we're going to begin. I'm going to play you this short video. The link is right here. It's only like 3 minutes long. If you need to review it, watch it again. It is there, and this will give you an understanding. Will give you more information about the history of rhetoric. Hold on a second. I would just need to check and make sure that the sound. Okay, I'm hoping this will work, that there's not going to be too much feedback or any feedback between using my speakers and the microphone. However, if this doesn't work, I will also put the link to the video here with the link to this rhetoric video will also be in the, sorry, I'm very tired, will also be in the module with all of this rhetoric stuff. Okay, here we go.
Used by all this rhetoric business. This vidcast features conversation between students who discover and overcome history rhetoric, answering the important question, what is rhetoric, and where did it come from? Actually, exactly mentions the definition of rhetoric, any rhetorical terms like logos, speeches, fables, slightly more important, which composition are. And understanding the context of rhetoric helps
Okay. Oh, shoot. Hold on, give me a second. All right. No. All right, so based off of that, it's important to think of this idea of from persuasion to identification. Rhetoric, ancient rhetoric began as the art, the skills necessary to be more persuasive. We now still use it for this, but it's changed a little bit. So contemporary rhetoric, Aristotle's rhetoric, ancient rhetoric, the art of persuasion through communication. Contemporary rhetoric, any situation in which two or more people consciously communicate with each other. Okay? And then identification in writing is manipulation. So with contemporary rhetoric, it is still used in giving speeches, presentations. You can still use these tools for that, but we also use it in writing, in written communication now. Some theorists go so far as to apply rhetoric to any communication, whether that's visual communication, a painting. You can apply some of these rhetorical tools too. So we use rhetoric to make our communication more effective as the sender, but then we can also use rhetoric as the receiver of that communication to analyze and to better understand that communication. So that's what this identification component is. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Now, writing is manipulation. If you've had me before, this is something I come back to all the time. Um, if you haven't, I want you to start thinking about writing differently. So when you write anything, you have a purpose, a goal that you want to achieve. Even if it is writing down a to-do list, your goal is for you as the sender to help you as the reader remember what you have to do. Same thing for a grocery list, anything. Writing is always, 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 always concentrated, deliberate manipulation. If you email your professor or your boss, if you email your boss and ask for a raise, if you email your professor and ask for an extension on a paper, you are trying to manipulate them to give you what you want. So if you think of it this way, if you were to email your boss and ask for a raise, and you put forward a couple points of why you deserve a raise, but the logic within your argument does not make sense. Excuse me. There's spelling errors, the grammar's not right. All of these things, you're already on your way to a no. You don't want the tools of rhetoric. The ultimate goal is for the sender to have the most perfect, effective piece of communication. Okay. We will come back to this over and over and over and over again. I promise you. Okay. But you are always trying to manipulate your reader or the listener, the receiver of the communication. When you write a short story, for example, you're trying to make your reader think, feel, or believe something. So you have to use these skills and apply them so that your reader does end up where you want them to believe. Vladimir Nabokov argued that all writing serves just a handful of purposes. On the surface level. All writing is meant to either inform, persuade, or entertain. Often, much of the time, all three of these are used. So keep that in mind. What are you trying to persuade your reader to think, feel, or believe something? Are you trying to inform them, give them information? Are you trying to entertain them? You should always be trying to entertain your reader as much as you can. You never want your writing to be boring or uncompelling. Same thing with a speech. It always needs to be interesting, compelling, entertaining if it can be. So you should always be trying to entertain. All right. Let me see here. How much time do we have left? Okay, I'm going to go through one more slide, and then we're going to have to stop, and then I'll do a second video finishing this up. All right. So rhetoric. This is just a breakdown of Aristotle's rhetoric. These words, logos, ethos, pathos, telos, kairos, and what they mean now. So logos is logic or reasoning. You always have to build a logical progression within your writing or your argument. Point A leads to point B, leads to point C. There's a cause and effect. All right. Ethos is the credibility or trustworthiness. You have to be, as the sender, we have to believe you. If I don't believe that you know what you're talking about, then your communication isn't going to work. So ethos is establishing credibility. So logic, credibility. We're not going to really use these terms, the logos, ethos, pathos. I mean, they are elegant, I guess, but we're going to stick with more of the contemporary rhetoric. So logic, credibility, pathos is emotional appeal. This is going to become crucially important because I'm running out of time, because the best way to hook and manipulate your readers to appeal to their emotions or their ethics. Actually, I'm going to stop there. In the next part, we'll pick up from here.